I could totally do this every day. Well, I mean, maybe not. So yesterday when I came on, I was muted. I could totally do this every. There we go. And today I got it right. So, welcome to my shit show. Just kidding. Luckily today it's not muted. So I am up way early, especially considering I'm off from the day job for graduation weekend for my son. And I have no rhyme or reason of what's going to come out of this, other than the fact that I woke up this morning and the first thing I thought of was this haiku that I sketched yesterday. And the one, son of, thank God. I mean, I have everything at my fingertips because I can't stand getting wanting to do something and not have it right there. And of course I go to talk about this haiku, but immediately when I woke up, I thought about this. So the haiku that I'm working on currently is darkness around me, quietly comfortable to sleep away day. And so yesterday I had sketched this because I just got the idea. In addition to those single pages, I'm going to do these. And basically I was like, let me try this out. So what I had in the first panel for the first part of the haiku, I was not having it. I was not feeling it. It was super, super basic. It was just a star and a moon, which was fine. It would have been perfectly fine to convey the line darkness around me. It would have been perfectly fine. But, this morning I woke up and I caught Rich Parada sketching and I couldn't help it. I just couldn't stop myself. So I'm like, I need to fix panel 1. So I come back and I pull this page out and I'm looking at it. And I'm like, what to me could really illustrate something darker than the moon, something simple, basic, the moon. And I, of course, immediately thought of the Grim Reaper. So, of course, this is what happens. So I get in here and I turn the moon into Grim Reaper. I turn the face of the Grim Reaper into kind of half of a moon. You can't see it yet, but it's in there. So I've got a moon shape in this. I've got the Grim Reaper. And then, of course, as I'm doing this today, out comes all these different emotions for the scene, because some of it's outside, some of it originally I had this envisioned mountain range, and of course I went a different, it's a range, but it's a range in my head basically, but mostly what it is human bodies. And so anyway, there's a lot of Native American stuff kind of going on in this sketch. So my Grim Reaper looks like he's a Grim Reaper, but he's also Native American Grim Reaper. So whatever that's worth. It's just me and what my brain conjured up this morning when I sat with Channel 1 and reread the line to me. My light just went out, but it looks like you guys could actually see that. So I'm not worried about it. I mean, other than the fact that I now can't really see what I'm doing, but I'll try. I think it's probably the connection. I'll try. So yeah, so I got this out and I decided to change panel 1. I totally dig it way more than I was digging the whole little moon star thing that was there. It definitely fits more with the haiku and conveying a darkness, which is what panel 1 needed to convey. It needed to convey this basically the haiku is about the darkness of life or the darkness of death or just darkness in general, whatever someone's interpreting that darkness in their world to be, and how it could be basically all around us and it can be totally consuming our lives. But yet, in the midst of that darkness, as the second line says, quietly comfortable. I have learned how to be comfortable, even, and that sounds really paradoxical. It doesn't sound like it would make any sense to be comfortable in the midst of drama, or in the midst of pain, or in the midst of suffering, or in the midst of grief, whatever that might be. It sounds so counterintuitive. It's like, what do you mean? And it just comes down to a quiet, for me, this is just for me, a quiet acceptance in the moment of whatever that darkness might be. A quietness that it is what it is, and it's going to be what it is. And why get all spun up in emotions and get carried away into grief and letting myself, sit around in the emotions. And I'm definitely one of those people easily prone to emotional cutting. Easily prone to emotional cutting. I can definitely want to feel that pain and that sadness so deeply and wallow in it. Now I just, I kind of let it happen or let it be. Now, to completely contradict all of that, of course, is the third line. So the first line conveys darkness being all around. The second line conveys even in darkness, how we can be quiet and we can be comfortable. But then the third line in the haiku says, to sleep away day. And that has a lot to do, for me, it has a lot to do with the fact that sleep, actually taking a nap and going to sleep, can be all the therapy I could possibly need in a moment for whatever a situation is. It doesn't mean that the problem's going to not be there when I wake up. It doesn't mean to say that it could possibly even remotely fix it. I'm going to wake up, hopefully, unless this Grim Reaper comes get me. So hopefully I'm going to wake up. And when I do, hopefully I can, continue forward, whatever. But, so the contrast is, yes, okay, sit in it, be quiet, be comfortable, be okay with whatever it is. But then, yeah, the last part of the haiku talks about sleeping away day, which ties into it's an illustration, or it's a I'm trying to find the words. To sleep away day kind of talks, for me, it talks to some depression. It talks to one of those things that happens when someone suffers from depression, which I absolutely am prone to. If I don't do the things I am supposed to do, the things I do actually to keep that at bay, I could easily fall back into those days of depression. Most of any depression I've had was situational depression, very much. And then I used to suffer from seasonal depression, because I can't stand cold weather. Cold weather will actually put me in a state of melancholy that it just is a super dark place for me. But it doesn't affect me that way anymore. I've done a lot of soul work on that. So now I've learned how to greet each season. Me and Mother Earth and Mother Nature, Father, Son, God, Jesus, the Dalai Lama, all of my gurus, because I have a lot of them. I have a lot of gurus that I look to for guidance. I go to them and I get through it. I get through it. I'm going to be cold, and I still hate cold weather. I'm still not a fan. I'd much rather be warm. Always, on any given day. Trust me. I would much, much rather be warm than cold. But if it's going to be cold, it's going to be cold. And I don't have to think the whole fucking world's going to end just because it's cold. You know? It's so crazy. It's so silly. So I'm digging that. I'm so totally digging the change I made to this panel because, yeah. I mean, it was okay. Frilly, I am totally that frilly romantic that likes flowers and hearts and all things Victorian and Baroque, as someone described something I was doing. All of these different things, but I guess I could go dark if I need to. I guess I can. I mean, it's probably maybe the second or third time I've ever done an image in any of my artwork that was even remotely somewhat dark like this. I do have a piece where the majority of the piece are skulls, and that's very rare for me. But otherwise, I stay on the side of light or super colorful. Rarely go anywhere dark. So this is kind of cool. This is actually pretty cool. It's very different, which is part of what's been kind of exciting about this, doing it this way, trying to imagine an actual graphic illustration or illustration, whatever, to convey a poem, to convey the line in a poem. That's pretty rad. That was a really super rad idea when Pops gave it to me. I had already I had already been inspired by watching a few other people. I'd been inspired to illustrate my poetry book, but not to the sense of this, not to the sense of putting to art in a sequence of some kind, a way to tell the story or a way to convey the message of the poem. That I hadn't really, like, honestly, mostly because this is a lot of fucking work. This is a lot of work. And I'm like, I ain't all about that, you know? I have a really wonderful day job that, yes, I'm off from for the rest of the week because my son's graduating, and I took the time between things I needed to do for that as well as things I needed to just do for myself. And so, but still, I'm like, I could totally see this. I mean, it's not the same it wouldn't be the same. I would have to conjure up these new images, and that's kind of cool. Like, okay, I can't see that. I'm just gonna have to turn it. I'm just gonna have to turn it. This morning when I got the idea, I pulled out this paper and I put it in front of me, and I'm looking at it and staring at it. And I was staring at this, and I think I took a picture of the moon star thing. Maybe I didn't. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I was staring at it, and I'm like, yeah, there definitely needs to be something else there. I don't know what, but we will find out. And this is what came out of me. I mean, granted, I did have to pull up a point of reference photo of what this, I don't even know what the Grim Reaper's weapon is called, or whatever that thing is called. A scythe, something. I don't even know. But anyway, I had to look it up to get a real image in my mind of what it would look like. What would that even look like? So I'm not even really sure what it's called. But other than that, I just let the pencil go. The different way that the face is coming out of part of it, if you look at it from one angle, it's like the face is coming out of a full moon. And then if you look at it from another angle, it's part of a crescent. And that wasn't planned. I'd love to tell anyone watching or anyone ever listening to me that I planned that. That was not planned. That just happened because of the way I sketched it and the way my lines were going. And then I stepped back from it and I look at it and I go, oh, look at that. and then I emphasize it. And that's kind of what some of my art is like I'm doing what I'm doing, and the pen goes where it goes, and the pencil goes where it goes. And then I take a moment, pause, and I step back, and then, and out of nowhere, I'll see something that I hadn't seen. I'll shade something that looks or resembles something to me, and then I'll emphasize it, and it'll become part of the piece. That's just how it happens. Okay, yeah. Took me a minute. If you're there, you can please leave me a comment. Let me know you're watching. I was worried there for a second that my comments weren't working. It says they should be. So hopefully, if you do comment, I will see it. So this is probably going to take longer than I expected, but that's okay. Because when I got to the point where I was perfectly content with the pencil part, I decided to hop on here and do this part live, because I knew that at least for one of these, I want to share the process in full, because this is the first time I'm doing this way. Not the first time I'm sketching, not the first time I've written poetry, not the first time I've gone live, not the first time I've let people watch me sketch, but definitely the first time I've ever done anything on a sequential comic book type of page like this. So I wanted to share it with you guys. Oh, okay. I gotta try to remember I actually do have coffee there. So the other thing I'm doing, for anyone who's watching or will watch later if they do, I actually am using a pretty kind of sort of crappy gel pen that, technically it is like not ideal for this. Like super, it doesn't bleed, but it's absolutely not a consistent flow of ink. And I'm doing that on purpose. I actually wanted to do that on purpose, because I want what I'm doing right now, to be like that. I want it to be not blotchy, I guess is not really, I guess maybe that is the word. Anyway, because what I do intend to do is come back in here with my other pen that does have a super rad flow that I use to make stronger black lines. And I'm gonna come back in and do those. But I don't want to do all of them like that. I don't want all the lines in the piece to be the same depth and weight and such. And yeah, and I don't know the first thing about inking on a digital system type thing. So this is what I'm doing. This is my compromise for Dory. For me, I'm sorry. I can't stand talking about myself in third person. That's just ridiculous. Talk about an ego, man. But it does make sense, though, when I say things in certain ways. Like I was telling Pops, like when I did the Crom guy, I'm like, I'm going to Dory this guy up. It was just a way to convey my method, or the way that I do what I do and how I do it, and the way things come out of me, you know? I'm not unique, but I guess I am. I mean, I have certain ways I do certain things, you know? I think we're all like that, actually. I mean, I know a lot of artists that may have the same kind of style, or they may have the same kind of flair, or they may have some of the same images or same way that they do stuff. But if you're paying attention, or you know what to look for, you can definitely see the differences in people's work. With that, you know, it's not that hard to notice if you pay attention. And like, even for myself, even though I am the artist, like this is my art, it took my best friend to explain it to me in a bunch of technical terms that she could explain way better than I could, what my techniques are even like what they would even be called. I didn't even have a clue. I didn't even know what to say. People would ask me, and I'm like, I don't know. Why would I know? Why do I even care? Actually, it was part of what I would say to her, or to say to people. And, you know, luckily she put it to words, and I don't have to search for words anymore. I know what to say. I know how to describe it if I'm asked. It was cool. My oldest boy came over yesterday. He is so adorable. He messages me and asks me if I have any black paint. Me, the artist. Do you have any black paint, Mom? Yeah, son, I got black paint. So he's like, okay, I'm on my way over. So he comes over and he gets here, and I have this whole care package all ready for him. And it's so cute. I gave him some of my best brushes. Yes, he is my oldest boy, and he is 100% worth being given the good brushes to use. And then I give him a bunch of other stuff, and I'm telling him, how to use them and how to use the stuff. And my son just looks at me and he's like, I just asked for black paint, Mom. And I'm like, what can I say? What can I say? It's just me, You want some black paint? I got you, boo. I got you. I got you. So the Reaper staff goes way up to the top, kind of behind all this stuff. It's pretty cool. And this is, another one of those things. I'll probably come back in here and do a couple of thicker, broader black lines on the sides and stuff to emphasize, but I'm digging this pen. Even though, like I said, I would not use this if I was doing a part of any of the pieces where I wanted the lines to be super clean. Would definitely not use this pen. There goes the light again. Oh, I know you guys can see the art on your end, so you don't need the light, but I need the light because I'm fucking blind. Okay. I need to invest in a better light. This light is actually one of those selfie lights. It's not even meant for this. But it works, But the problem is, and maybe I should leave a review on it. But whoever invented it is genius. Okay, it is. It's a really nice device. But, here's the but. It overheats. The plug where it plugs into the cord, it gets overheated, which is understandable for what it's doing, and that's okay. I get it, but who's going to use a light for any reason or any purpose for a short? I've only been on here for 22 minutes, and the fact that the cord plugged into the block on the thing is already super hot enough to start timing out and turning the light off, that's not a good sign. 22 minutes, really? Are you kidding? And I'm using like a really good block and a really good power strip. It just it's pretty silly. So yeah, there you go. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. Sometimes I have really good ideas. Using this pen to ink with instead of something with much broader, thicker lines was a great idea because I'm getting exactly what I want in this area where I wanted the messiness, and I wanted a bunch of like splotchy kind of crazy stuff, considering we're in the Grim Reaper's corner here. We're in the Grim Reaper's world. When we get down here, well, yeah, we'll see. So then I was like looking at my guy in here, and his facial expression's a little dark, but not as dark as what you would see, but the Grim Reaper kind of dark. But he's still dark. He's still got some darkness to him. He's kind of cool. I'll be excited to see what my son did with that black paint. He was decorating his cap, I guess, is what he was using it for. So it should be pretty interesting to see what he did. He's a pretty good artist. Of course, you know. I've met his mom. Yeah, I think that's probably too much. Anyway, I'm sure he did great. I'm sure his cap looks great. We will see. I will see him tonight at graduation. Oh my God, I can't believe it. It still just blows my mind. It completely still blows my mind that I have an 18-year-old. It's like, what the hell? I really kid you not. It feels like just yesterday I was breastfeeding that kid and changing diapers. It doesn't feel like 18, it just doesn't feel like that much time has passed. It just doesn't. It's so crazy to me. So yeah, that's it's just weird. It's so weird to think of him as being 18. But he is. Oh my God, but he is. Where's my guy? Okay, I'm humming because I don't have any music. I gotta get some music for a playlist or something for me. Because clearly I can't play the music from Magic Man because it got dinged for copyright. I got dinged for copyright infringement on my own music. That was pretty awesome. That's actually pretty rad. I mean, it sucks, but it's kind of rad. It's kind of rad when I think about it. That, it's like, oh, so if someone else were to try to, I couldn't even say to my friends, oh, go play my music. I can't even do that. I don't know. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to me. So I don't know why I went all the way down there. I guess I could do the panels out of order, I guess. Why not? I mean, who says it has to be in order? Who's that guy? Who thinks he's in charge? Oh man. I don't have to a lot, but every once in a while I have to remind other people that I am in charge of myself especially when it comes to what I'm doing right now. And it's funny because I'm the one that needed that reminder more, actually, recently. I've talked about it a few times in my live broadcasts about how there was so much of some other craziness in my own head from my own thoughts that I had to sit back and go, oh, no. Your art is your art. You do your art your way. You do what you like. You do what makes you happy. When I come back to this and I'm looking at it, if I'm satisfied and feel like I did my best to convey what I was trying to get at here in this image artistically, then I'm good. And so far, I'm totally digging this panel. This whole page, actually. It's very cool. I had to turn that around and look at what the hell was that? that line. What is that line for? And then I added the line, and I'm like, I hope that line doesn't, I mean, not that, you couldn't really mess up much. It would be pretty hard to mess this up, considering the way that I do stuff. Because even like yesterday, I messed up in my oil painting more than once, and I'm not happy with it at the moment. I love it, but there's something, it's too dark. First, I thought it was too light, so I added a bunch of black yesterday, and then now I'm looking at him, I'm like, okay, now he's too dark. Now I need him to be much lighter. And so we will go back to it. And figure that one out. But I'm going to let him dry yet again. He went back on the wall, and there he will stay until he's dry again. And I will take him down when I'm feeling inspired, and I will figure out what I'm going to do. With that guy. Because, yeah, I mean, it's fine. He's, considering it's my first painting, my first oil painting ever. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I could have done worse. I could have totally done worse, for sure. So, it's all right. I'll forgive myself. I will forgive myself. My oldest, not yesterday, but like, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks ago, also kind of was talking about how like I seem to be in Africa, or, definitely in nature, definitely not in the modern type of world in some of my stuff that I've been doing, which is kind of cool. I think some of it, is the visuals I have in my mind when I'm looking at what these words convey. And then some of it I know is just, it suits my technique. It just is. Because I certainly don't like to be literal. I mean, sometimes I might sketch or paint something and want it to be literal, want it to be exactly the real thing. I might need to switch pens. Oh, no, that's good. But that's pretty rare. It's pretty rare that you're going to find me actually intentionally wanting it to be super real looking to the real world or real life. It's very rare. I have enough of real life. I don't want my art to be real life. It's just me. I mean, it could be, even if the art is real people or real whatevers, it's fiction most of the time. Although in so many ways, even though it's poetry, most of my poetry is not. I mean, actually, poetry it's so kind of cool. Like, it's in the nonfiction category, literary-wise, especially when I get into when I'm doing my publishing online and I get into the categories. It took me a bit. I think it was the first poetry collection I ever did. I'm like, this is in nonfiction? What? I mean, I guess that makes sense. I mean, some of my poetry is fiction, just whatever I wrote, but I guess it's a good I guess that makes sense that it's in nonfiction. I don't know why, but to me it seems like there should be a different category for it, but Oh, that's so pretty. Oh my God, like I wouldn't have known or expected the visual of what I'm looking at right now. But I love it. Definitely we'll have to take some really good pictures and a scan of this before I add any color or whatever I do next, because man, I have definitely learned that I love that. I love making sure I have a picture image of each phase, because as I go back and do some of the things I'm doing, there's sometimes I like the sketch I like take graphic in terms of digital graphics. I like taking the sketch as opposed to the inked one, or I like taking the one in color. I'm all over the place with whichever one, and that it's been kind of cool because I get to play with that. I get, as long as I remember to take pictures of each phase or each stage of what I'm doing, I did, you know, when I do get onto the digital and play or dabble in that world, because that's a whole new world for me. And it's one I doubt I'm gonna ever fully transition to. But I like some of the features that I can get in there and do in there, and I'm doing that. I'm digging that. Like I'm digging that part of the process is doing that, especially when I create the coloring pages for my coloring book. That definitely. I mean, they look okay with just some of the contrast and brightness settings and things that I do to the image, but the Adobe will smooth the lines for me is super rad. That's super rad. Like, it still wouldn't ever, in my opinion, it's probably never going to replace inking this way. I couldn't have even told you what inking was about a month or so ago. I didn't know these. I mean, I knew what it was in the sense of the fact that I've done it. I've done it to a lot of my pieces, but to know what it was called lingo terminology wise, yeah, I didn't have that. I didn't know that. Anyway, so maybe one day I'll try to figure out how to do this on, if I had a different system. Not system, actually. The computer I have is fine. I just, it doesn't have a stylus. That particular laptop, there's no stylus for it. Doesn't exist. Which is so stupid. Why HP would create a laptop tablet that can't have a stylus or doesn't have a stylus that actually works with it. That's probably like, that makes zero fucking sense to me. It's like, really? I mean, it doesn't shock me. It doesn't shock me, you know, because of course, let's sell you this fabulous, wonderful, fangled tablet that has all these features as a tablet, and you can do all these things on it as a tablet. Oh, by the way, you can't use a stylus. There's no capacitive. There's no stylus of any kind that works on that thing. So there you go. So it's in my bucket. It's in my wish list. It's in my bucket wish list to get into some of to maybe consider getting some kind of something to use for digital illustration. Because I tried using the mouse. Fuck that. No, just don't even bother trying to suggest that to me, because it doesn't work. Not for me. I need something in my hands, and like this. My sick brain went somewhere else, but we don't need to share that right now. But yeah. And the fact that my hands, my neck, that whole mouse action thing, fuck no. Fuck no. I would rather not. No thanks. No thanks. I might have to go to Poway to pick up sketch paper. I have sketch paper. I have, like, you would think I have all kinds of sketch paper, which I do. But the good stuff I have is too big for what I want to do with it. And the stuff that's the right size is not bad. It's acceptable. But I'm going to need more of it. And then I need, it's like, oh, well, I'll just get more and then get a better weight. And so I couldn't find any up here in Ramona. And we don't have any kind of Walmart or anything like that. So I will end up at Michael's to find a better thing of sketch paper. And that's real. I mean, I could use regular paper. Actually, this is actually regular copy paper. uh, I don't plan on painting them and turning them into art using, the paper kind of thing. I mean, I could. It wouldn't be the first time I've used just regular old copy paper to turn something into one of my pieces, but I don't plan on it. It's perfectly fine for what I'm doing, for the effect I'm going for turning this into just a photo that I'm going to uh, graphically alter for the book. It's perfectly fine for that. Of course, when I get to the next phase of this, I might use pencils, color pencils. I might use my watercolor pencils as opposed to actual markers. The markers are nice, but the markers are super wet, and this is copy paper, and so I don't know that that's a good idea. So I'm either going to add color to this using that might be something I also go down. If I go down a Poway, I could look and invest in a better marker set. I mean, the ones I have are fine, but if I am going to do any of these with bright colors, but then I could also use what do you call it? Oh, my brain just went dead. All the different colored gel pens I have. All I know is that I have no interest in coloring it digitally. I think even if I knew how, I don't think I'd want to. And even if I knew how, I wouldn't want to. I get too much physical satisfaction from the act of coloring the work. But that's just me. The hands-on painter in me. That and I can't stand looking at a computer screen. I have enough of that during the day for work. So I gave my sleeping horse a crown helmet apparatus thing, decor. I don't even know what to call it. That wasn't there before. I like him. I think it's kind of cool. Like my women are in the mountain over here. Like that's a mountain of bodies of women, and whether someone can tell that or not, they might. I mean, if you're looking at the details, I know they're there. I know what I drew there, but whether someone else could look at this and know, and it will probably, actually, it'll be way more obvious once I add color. Once I add color, it'll be very obvious. Oh, what did I do with it? Huh. Well, that was stupid. Not very bright. Not bright at all. And I don't want to get up. I don't want to get up. I'm going to freehand this bitch. Perfect. Yay. Let me turn it around. Turn it around. So that is what I got using that pen. And so then now I'm going to go back through with the darker one. And I probably won't do this whole thing right now because I'm almost to the hour and I'm not doing longer than that. So there. The other day I was super stressing out about the fact that I'm at the point where I have to have reading glasses and I have to like seriously almost be up on top of the paper to see good enough. And I'm like, if I go blind and can't do art anymore, just take me out back. I mean, for real, just take me out back. I'm not going to need to be here anymore. I mean, like, for real, the idea of going so blind that I couldn't do art. I mean, like, for real, just take me out. I mean, like that, this pen sucks. We will put that in a separate pile. Oh my God, just the idea of that is terrifying. Just super, super terrifying. The idea of not being able to do art. Oh my God, that scares me. That would be really bad. To be that blind, to go that blind. I hope not. I hope that never happens. Please no. Please no. Okay, Dory. All right, so I just had a lesson in my, what I thought was the pen not working is just it hitting the pencil shading that I did. Okay, I get it, which is fine. I really don't want to mess up the shading anyway. I want the shading to kind of stay what it is. And then I'm just adding black lines in suitable places that to me visually make sense. Because I want to leave the other stuff alone. Hi, Joe. Who are you talking to, crazy lady? New glasses or LASIK? I know. The LASIK thing is probably what I'm going to have to do. I'm probably going to have to seriously start saving up for that because I'm not digging the fact that I'm already having to use way stronger reading glasses. I literally have to go between the reading glasses and the ones I use for driving and stuff. I can't go without glasses. I'm at the point where I can't go without glasses, and it's fucking freaking me out. Especially like I was saying about the art. I don't ever want to not be able to do my art. That would just be traumatizing. What do you think of my Grim Reaper? My Native American Grim Reaper. Don't ask me why I decided. It's not like I went into it planning to do a Native American Grim Reaper, so don't anybody get all up in arms about, politically incorrect or whatever you want to call it. Especially considering that I am also part Native American. course, we probably all are. I mean, I'm really a mutt. I don't really know. And I don't really give a fuck to know. Thank you, Joe. Looks good. Thank you. I thought so. I'm really happy with it. So the part of it is Grim Reaper, yes, but there's a moon shape in here that'll be a little more obvious when I add color, because this top panel of this is to convey darkness around someone, impending doom, or doom actually in their life, or darkness, whatever it is. That's what it's conveying. And then I've got lady sleeping on a mountain in the middle, and then I've got my sleeping horse down at the bottom. Let me see. How do I want to do this guy? I'm going to do this guy. Sometimes it takes me a few times to turn it turn it how I need it in order to do the lines the way I want, so that I can get in there with the precision. Whatever. Me and my freehand. I'm pretty good at freehand, so fuck. See, I say that I should see, of course, teach me a lesson. No! Way too far to the over. Don't fuck up my tip. My eyesight is horrible right now as well. Well, part of it is my age. Part of it is being perimenopausal. Actually, perimenopausal causes not blindness, but it causes loss of vision. I'm definitely not good at taking my supplements like I'm supposed to. Yes, I'm going to admit that out loud. That's the truth. Yes. Oh. Never really drawn one of these guys before. Hey, what is the Grim Reaper's weapon thing called? Because I don't even know what I drew. All I know is I pulled up a picture. Hi, Mike. Whoa, a live show just as I get home. Look at this. Okay, Mike, you saw me do this yesterday. I turned the moon star thing in my first panel. I turned it into the Grim Reaper with a moon face, in order to convey that line, darkness around me. So this is what happened this morning. It's called a scythe. Scythe. Okay. Yeah, so I've never drawn a scythe before. And I pulled up the internet, of course, to get a point of reference. The Grim Reaper's face was pretty simple. I knew that was just a skull and a cloak. That was like, I got that part. But I was like, I got to pull up this thing. And I just, and luckily you just Google Grim Reaper, and, of course, and there was a lot of different variations of it. And of course I didn't want anything to look like anything I saw. So I just went with it. I have a skull head horn thing in here, and it's kind of small, but I'm going to try to make sure I don't fuck with the lines, so that I've done that before where I've messed up a line and all of a sudden you can't see my thing I've got there. Okay, there we go. That works. Yeah, I woke up this morning, Mike, and Rich Parado was sketching, and I watched him, and then I sat here and I'm like, I don't like that thing. It's a silent C, and I am such a dork. Sith? Now you can tell me if it's Sith or Scythe. Educate me. I love guys that are willing to educate me. Although if Joe is still on here, he knows I hate mansplaining. And if he is still there, Joe meet Mike. Oh my God. Joe's like basically one of my brothers. And it's pretty funny. I crack myself up. So yeah, I wasn't planning on adding this dark long Y, so sigh. That's excellent. That's excellent. It's pretty funny when, like I was thinking about Google Translate and how you can pretty much Google anything or go on the internet for anything. You need to know how to pronunciate something. I can just hear your accent, Mike. I can just hear it in your accent. That's pretty funny. That was pretty funny. I think I did a pretty good job. Earlier I was talking mostly to myself. But, if someone just randomly chooses to watch later, I want to give them something to listen to. So I was talking earlier about how I don't usually draw anything like this. I don't usually draw anything dark. Most of my art is very light and, I shouldn't say light, but it tends to be on the more serious side and definitely the romantic type of thing. So to do something like this is very different for me, really. It's really different. And I love it, actually. I'm really happy with what came to me this morning. I just was not happy with the idea that all I got for the word darkness when I was musing on this haiku, I'm like, all I got was the moon. Really, come on, Dory. You can be more creative than that. And I couldn't think of anything darker to me than the image of the Grim Reaper. And so I'm like, oh, well, I can still have the moon in there and the Grim Reaper. Let's just do both. Why limit ourselves to one? So, and I did not, honestly, I can't own or I can't take claim really for having the idea of turning the moon into the Grim Reaper's face or having the face be the moon, because that just happened when I was sketching it, when I was adding him and sketching this earlier and making the change. That honestly was not planned. It was so not planned. I would love to be able to tell you I'm that bright or that smart, but yeah, no, just because I score at genius levels doesn't mean I have that much brains, but whatever. Especially stuff like that. I wasn't planning it. It just happened. It just came out of me like that. I sketched it. I stepped away. Like I pulled away from it. And then I'm like, oh, look at the hat. It's a crescent moon. Basically part of sometimes the obvious just fits. Not so strong, but their Dutch accent. I try to do any accent. I just end up sounding Mexican. I've lived in San Diego for so long. I can, if I train, like if I listen to it, I definitely have an ear and I could definitely do it. If I, intentionally go to do it. I have a poem that I want to perform for my next poetry collection. And I'm going to record the spoken word and do a video. And I told my brother, who still lives in Louisiana, because I'm from Louisiana, and I told him that I'm going to have to call him and we're going to have a conversation on the phone for probably a good hour before I record it, because I want to record it with my voice, but I want to record it with my accent that I grew up with. And I can try to mimic it on my own, like I've tried. But I've lived in California for 32 years and it just isn't here. Like I end up sounding Mexican. Even when I try to do a Southern drawl Louisiana thing. So, but I do know that if I get on the phone with my brother and I'm talking to him for any length of time, it comes back like that. It comes back like no time passed. It comes back like I'm still living there, still there. it just, that's just what happens. So so when the time comes for me to do the spoken word vocals for that one, I will definitely be calling my brother. Wee. So I almost feel like I've got like a little bit of a Roman soldier going on here, a little bit of a Native American, a little bit of Game of Thrones. I don't know. I don't know where this guy came from. He just, he came out of the paper. I see shapes and patterns in pretty much everything I look at. And even when I'm looking at a blank sheet of white paper, it will just come to me. The visual will come to me. And then this is, sometimes I have something in mind and I just sketch what's in my mind. But he quite literally came from the lighting or however something was hitting the page at the moment that I was doing this, because I was actually sketching the horse. I was sketching the horse when I saw him. And that may sound like a crazy trip to someone who doesn't know if they're not an artist or they don't know what I'm talking about. But he literally came to me from the paper. I saw him in the paper. And then I sketched him. Uh-oh. My roommate, his son is in trouble. I don't know if you're still there, Mike, but I got dinged for my copyright playing my music the other day. My own music, I got copyright dinged. Luckily, I didn't get banned or, shut down on Facebook, but I did. They muted my video. They muted my video. But I'm an idiot because I'm like, oh, I will play my own music, blah, blah, blah. Not my brain not thinking, duh, Dory, you released this. It's actually out there in the music world as yours. No wonder they thought it was someone playing your stuff. And I'm like, oh, duh. Yeah, definitely losing some of my common sense as I get older, I guess. Honestly, it's just that I have so much in my brain. I have so much in my brain at this point that it literally will not retain anything really that I don't somehow deem important to remember. Like for real. If it is really, like if I somehow, whether I do it knowingly or unconsciously, if I somehow have deemed it to be irrelevant in some way, I will probably forget it. And I will not retain and remember the information. Oh well, oh well, I guess it wasn't important. Whatever it was. So sometimes, even if whether I know it's important or think it's important, I need to write it down. I have got to write it down. Telling myself I don't need to copyright claims works like that. I'm still here. I just had to feed my rats real quick. Oh, I had a pet rat in my 20s and helped them cool down with pea fishing. That's cool. Yeah, I had a pet rat in my 20s. A story of my life. Oh, man. You're critters. Critters. I am almost done. I mean, done with this part. I am going to let it sit and let it marinate, like, you know, like I did overnight after I put pencil to this. And I'm glad that I did. I'm so glad that I did, because I much, much, much prefer what came out of me today and the things that I added. But that's what I'll do again. I will sit on it, let it marinate, think on it before I do any kind of idea or consideration of color of any kind. And then we will figure out what we will do. We will figure out then, because I am so digging this just the way it is. I'm going to make this all black around my horse. It's the smallest of the whole piece. It's the smallest panel. It's the last panel. And so I don't want it to be too busy. I don't want it to be too much stuff in there. I want it to be just very clear. Horse and sunshine. Like, that's all, you know, a sleeping horse and sunshine. Like, that's the most I need to convey right here. So I don't need it to be busy and have a bunch of stuff in it to confuse anything, because it's the smallest piece. It's the smallest panel. It's funny, even when I printed up a bunch of these, but they're not all the same shape. So I've got pages ready for me to sketch on for the haikus, but I didn't do them all like this. Like, this one has these, you know, where it's one, you know, there's one here and one there, and there's a big background. I didn't use the same layout. I'm not going to use the same layout for the others. Oh, and Office the Cat, my little bundle of hatred. 10 of them. That was work. Wow. Are the two you have the same gender? Are they going to breed? Because they, you know, rats have the sex life I would like to have. Rats and mice. Oh my God. Yes, I said that out loud. Oh my God. I cracked myself up. I am the funniest person I know. I'm just saying. I think my Grim Reaper, really, honestly, if I had to say, I think he's a Grim Reaper, yes, but I think he's female. You know, something about him. I love this. I'm totally digging that. Totally digging this. How do I get, there we go. Let me get all of it in there, because that is as done as it's going to get for the moment until I start adding color to it. Oh yeah. Both girls, never combine sexes. Yeah, no. I agree. I wish I had that kind of You know, it's kind of overrated. I mean, I know I'm old, 51. I've lived quite a life. You know, maybe I'll get proven wrong. Awesome stuff. Do you like it? My first ever, like, representation of some kind of, like, whatever in a graphic you know, you can tell me the technical word for what is in front of me, okay? You can tell me the technical word for this page I have in front of me, okay? All I know is that I'm super happy that I tried it out. I'm super happy it was suggested to me. I'm super happy I got to watch you illustrate that day. It made my brain think about like, oh yeah, I should illustrate my poetry book. And then Pops is like, you should illustrate your poetry. And like, clearly, the universe was telling me that this was something I needed to do. And I may be the only person in the entire world that enjoys it. I don't know anyone who's going Google haiku poetry. These would be inks, just inks. But yeah, I'd love to see where it goes. Thank you. So this is just one more time. You know, this particular, what you're looking at is this haiku where it says, darkness around me, quietly comfortable to sleep away day. So the singular artwork that matches this is a woman sitting up in a bed, and she's wrapped in all her blankets, and you know, there's light coming from the window. She's in front of a window. That's the singular illustration artwork that came from my soul when I looked at this haiku. And then when I went and did the sequential panels to convey this haiku, this is what we got. We have our Grim Reaper up here, and then we've got our women in the mountains that are quiet and comfortable, and then we have our sleeping horse sleeping away the day. And the last part, nah, you're not the only one, but you enjoying it is what matters. Thank you. Thank you. So there you go. Super excited. Yeah, so that's it. I'm done for the day. Thank you, anyone who watched. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Joe. Those that commented, and thanks for being here. And I'm super excited. Super excited. 9 more pages to go. The other one is penciled. I will ink it. And I'm sure when I really gel on that one, who knows where that one will go too. That's part of what I love about my work for me. One of the things I really love the most about the way I do what I do. Keep it up. Stay awesome. Thank you. I have no 2 pieces really that are the same. That doesn't really exist in my world. I mean, I have some that kind of resemble each other. I have things I do the same way, similar almost every time. But the piece itself is almost always different. And that works for this, because I can't do repetition. I can't do it. You guys that do stuff that's, I'm in just awe of that. That's a level of creative. That's a whole world that I can't fathom being in that world. It would just, I wouldn't be able to do it. It's too constraining, I think, for me. So there. Thank you again for joining. And thanks again, Mike. Thanks for all the encouragement. I really, really, really need it and appreciate it. Thank you so much.